They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
Oh, if Jeremy Hill can hold on to a fucking football.
That doesn't make sense.
You're listening to the P&E Bengals Fan Podcast.
3, 2, 1.
All right, Pete, what's up? We're on the air.
What is up, E? How's it going? How's life going?
Man, not too good after seeing that loss.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that was real tough. I haven't seen the Bengals lose like that. I mean, just completely dominated on all three levels. Usually in a loss, you can look at a player or a part of the team and go, okay, well, they did all right. Like, they wasn't too bad. But that game was a complete breakdown on almost so many levels. It's just ridiculous. And it makes me more concerned about I think we beat still a lot of the teams on our way to the end of the season because there's some teams out there that we can't beat. But the couple takeaways I had from this game was the O-line and the D-line, there's something missing. We're being dominated on both sides of the ball. The fact that we won 2 games is, a testament to the rest of our team and the depth of our team. But there's some serious problems on the O-line and D-line. Number 2 is even if we do rebound and win, the games against the easier teams, which we should, and let's say we get into the playoffs, I just don't really see how we're going to compete in the playoffs, which when every team we've played that is a possible playoff contender, we've been beaten by.
Right. It has dominated us, really.
Well, I mean, the Pittsburgh game, that could have been turned on a couple plays here and there. Denver game, yeah, we got smacked around, and also the Dallas game. I'm not really sure what we can do to fix that. Just obviously besides the pure luck of those teams suffering injuries on the way to the playoffs. I mean, that would be about it. But other than that, as it stands currently today, I just, a season which I thought we were going to be complete contenders. I thought we had one of our most deepest teams that we've ever had, but it's not really equating.
Yeah, that just goes to show you, preseason you're like, or, even off-season you're like, okay, with the moves you make, you just feel good about it, and then as soon as the season comes, you just never know.
Well, I guess you can kind of see that with Jacksonville, because, off-season, they had crazy hype about all the guys they were picking up and how good they're going to be, and they're going to contend in the weak AFC South. And they've come out and fallen flat on their face. So, I've already learned a long time ago, off-season doesn't really mean a whole lot. Each team, each season seems to be a different story, like a different storyline. And so that's the reason why I always kind of laugh when you see all these experts, if you will, always, at the beginning of the season, it's going to go this way. And it's just like, dude, every season is its own story. And there's no way you can predict it. There's no way you can see what's coming. I mean, who would have thought Carolina would be 1-4 right now? Some surprises around the league, obviously. But one of the teams that had some off-season hype, but has so far lived up to it, is the Raiders. Even though their defense can give up like 300 yards to Moeller. But in either case, they've had good luck so far, so we'll see how it goes. But that's a tale of 2 different cities that had good off seasons, and one's kind of falling on their face, and one's doing really well. So what do you think looking forward? Do you? I think in the beginning of the season, I think I said 10-6. You said 9-7, or 10-6, or maybe you said 10-6 and I said 11-5.
Yeah, we were probably optimistic. Man, I don't know. Right now, we talked about this the other day, but right now I'm like, man, I might be happy we go 8-8 with the way they're playing right now. But
no, I still think we have a salvageable season. We play the Browns twice, so there's 2 wins right there.
You keep saying that.
I'm telling you, dude. Like,
I don't think you
the Browns are going 0-16. Period. They're going 0-16. Period.
Detroit Lions style.
That's a bad squad. We don't beat them twice. We didn't deserve the playoffs anyway. to be honest with you. That's how I feel about the 2 Cleveland Browns games. I mean, we just got so much.
I can see us missing the playoffs playing like this, but I mean, the season is young. It's about time.
Now, don't get me wrong. I can see us missing the postseason, but I still think the chances we make the postseason are higher than us missing it. I mean, we played some tough teams and we've suffered some losses, but this is what I keep thinking back to for the last day or so. I remember a game between our current opponent, the one ahead of us, New England. A game a couple of years back when New England was getting ready to come to Cincinnati. We had a nice grind-them-out win. They got smoked on all 3 phases by Kansas City on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
And we're thinking, on the Cincinnati. And then they came in and just dick slapped us. And I think it's just kind of weird that a couple of years later, we're coming in on the reverse side of that, where we just got handed our lunch. And now we're going to go play New England, who, I'm sure they're not happy that we got exploded like that, because they know we're going to come out extra focused this week, trying to play extra tough because, we got smoked last week, so you got to get the taste out of your mouth. So, and the same thing New England did to us a couple of years ago. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to go in there and beat up New England and push them around, but I do think that we can, if they're really as pissed off as they were about that last game, and they should be.
They won't be.
You would think I think they're going to go into this game with a little gusto. I really do. That's my feeling on it.
I don't see it. I mean, obviously the optimistic side of me wants to feel that way, but New England is New England, and Cincinnati is Cincinnati for a reason. In that, whenever you think that they're going to bounce back from a loss, you don't really see it. New England, you never see them lose 2 games in a row. They're wired that way. But the Bengals can just go down in flames. And
well, I'll say this. I'm old enough to remember when people used to say the same thing about these 2 teams, but in opposite directions. I'm old enough to remember when New England was pretty much just an easy W on the schedule. I will never forget our 1988 Super Bowl season. I think we started out 6-0, and then we lost to the Patriots in New England at a time where the Patriots really were not that great. And I'll never forget that because I was out with Mom shopping, and I had to keep running out of the grocery store and running down to the Radio Shack in the strip mall. And I would run in there and watch the game for, quick 5-10 minutes, and then the commercial would come on. I'd run back, go check out Mom. Like, hey, Mom, what's going on? Blah, blah. Oh, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to this aisle over here. And then go right back to Radio Shack. And did all that just to watch them lose. And that was, I believe, the start of our 88 Super Bowl season. So, history withstanding. I don't think the Bengals will play hard enough to maybe get the win, but I think it's going to be closer than what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right, but man, the Bengals they find ways to disappoint and they find ways to be mediocre, and and obviously it's frustrating because you see a team that has that kind of talent, and then you're like, I don't know, and then you see the product that they put on the field, and you're like, you're scratching your head.
I'm thinking one of 2 things has to happen for us to compete in this game, and that is either our D-line has got to start acting like they've been good at some point in the last couple of years, or the offensive line, like somebody needs to do their job. And I understand what Marvin Lewis was saying when he said that it's not always the offensive line's fault. I was watching the game last week, and there was a play where Dalton goes and drops back in the pocket, and he gets rushed almost immediately. And when the camera angle shows the replay, I see that it's a tight end. It's Tyler Croft that missed the block. And, we're really hurting with Eifert out, not having a veteran presence there, somebody who can really solidify that line. Now, don't get me wrong, Cedric O'Boy, or whatever his name is, he's not cutting it yet. I mean, they say he's got all the talent in the world, and I trust him. But as of this moment, he's not really cutting the mustard. I would rather have Andre Smith back in a heartbeat. Russell Bodine, I know they keep defending him, but the tape is what it is, and he's always in the middle of a breakdown. So and Andrew Whitworth is no spring chicken that, Father Time catches up with everyone. So, you start to look at that offensive line and you're like, you know what I mean? Like it's last year, last couple of years, it's been a big strength, but all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, well, so unless one of those two kids can really kind of figure something out, whether it's Bodine or Cedric, then one of them's got to figure something out so that they can hold that line down. Because if they can get Dalton time, Dalton can get his work done. Now, I will say this, out of all the people who had a complete breakdown in last Sunday's game against Dallas, Andy Dalton was not one of them.
Yeah, Andy Dalton was solid.
I will say that.
He held his composure. He stuck in there.
No turnovers, no picks, no throwing into tight windows that weren't there.
But you know what? But all people have to do with the way that the offensive line and the way that the defensive line are playing, all people have to do is shut down AJ and it's a wrap.
Yeah, pretty much. But the problem with that is they're doing it with a soft shell cover too, and the only thing you have to do to beat that defense is be able to run the ball. And the fact that we can't run the ball, if we can't run the ball, Clay is going to run that defense against us for the rest of the year. At some point, if you have more blockers than they have tacklers, you should be winning that battle every time. And we're not, even winning it 30% of the time. So, with all that said, I'm thinking for us to beat New England, we got to get at least 2 turnovers somehow. And we got to convert at least half, 60, 70% of our red zone chances into touchdowns. So I still think we lose 17-13, something like that.
This is going to put it in perspective how I think this game is going to go.
All right.
I'm starting Tom Brady in fantasy. Because
I don't blame you.
The defense just looks terrible, and you know what? Why should New England be the only people that get something
that benefit from it?
Right, benefit from it. So you know what?
No, don't get me wrong. I don't blame you. I do the same thing, but I don't know. I still think the Bengals keep it close. At least to the very end. But maybe I'm just too optimistic.
That's a good thing, but to a point. You want them to succeed. We all do, but it's with any team, right? Whoever your team is, if they're not winning the Super Bowl, at some point it's a disappointment. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I don't know how we're going to stop Tom Brady, but he butchered Cleveland last week. But then again, that's like saying you beat up a blind, retarded kid. You know what I mean? It's like, so, it's like, what do you want, a cookie for it? Like, what are you looking for, like an award? Like, there ain't much to it. So, I just still don't think, everybody's riding Brady's jock, and, the guy's still 39 years old. And, we just got to somehow try to get some pressure on him somehow. But he's one of those guys, if you blitz him, he's going to make you pay.
Right. It's doable. You know what the Bengals can do, but they're just not doing it. They're not executing.
Yeah, but I just can't imagine them playing that way all year. And number one, that's the other thing people aren't considering is that, the Raiders are 4-1, but who have they played? The Saints, no defense.
None.
The Chargers, no defense. You know what I mean? So I think Bengals fans have to keep everything in perspective. Even if we lose this game, we go to 2-4. But we still got Cleveland twice. You got to figure we're going to get 1 out of 2 out of Baltimore. We should beat Washington. Should be in the key factor there. So there's a chance to get some wins and get back in the game quick. But for me personally, I just want to at least see that we get New England the game, even if we lose it. At least want us. I don't want us to look like we did against Dallas, which I don't think so, because to be honest with you, you really can't look worse than what they did in Dallas. So almost anything is a marked improvement. As soon as they get off the bus in New England, they have already done better than they did in Dallas. But I just don't think everybody should overreact. It was a tough early schedule. I would have liked to have seen us get one more game than we did. But, I actually had Dallas chalked up as a win. I thought without Romo that But I'll say this, man. I'm glad that fucked them.
Yeah, we need to stop doing that as a whole franchise of people who are Bengals fans, thinking that the Bengals can beat rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks they've never seen before. We need to just take a step back and be like, okay, how do the Bengals perform when they've never seen, this quarterback in action? Because every time they get lit up.
Well, I wouldn't say every time, because we absolutely abused Johnny Manziel in Cleveland his first start.
Okay, fair enough. But he flamed out.
Well, true. Anybody who's a decent professional. And that can be no more exemplified. That can be no more exemplified than the playoff loss to the Houston Texans when they started a third-string quarterback. I think his name was like T.J. Yates.
T.J. Yates. Yep.
T.J. Yates,
and he just,
a third-string quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
Beat you in the playoffs.
It's like they turn it off. It's like
utterly unbelievable.
It's like Marvin Lewis goes into prep before the game, like, all right, guys, we got this one. Just relax for this week, because that's what it looks like every time.
Yeah, it does. I mean, then we lose to fucking butt fumble Mark Sanchez, and we're at home with Carson Palmer in the playoffs, and Mark Sanchez is a rookie, and he beat us.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't either, man. But I mean, so as far as T.J. Smith, the comment he made, yeah, the question comes, like, when we talk about replacing Marvin Lewis is, who do you replace him with? You can't fire Marvin Lewis and then hire some offensive coordinator from another team. I mean, like, at this point, you have to replace Marvin Lewis with a known commodity.
Yeah, because, it's going to hurt us. I mean, I know the whole thing is, how the Bengals like to operate, hire within, blasey. But, man, it's starting to show why people go out and get the good coaches.
Well, I would say what's really starting to show is how we've been cherry-picked over the years. They want to hire Gruden away from us. They hired Hugh Jackson away from us. They hired Mike Zimmer away from us. Mike Zimmer's already showing that he's a hell of a coach. Nothing that we didn't already know when he was here. But,
right.
But now the rest of the league is finding out. I just really don't think the Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu loss was as big as people make it out to be. Because I think I saw a stat recently that said Tyler Boyd and Brandon LaFell has at this same point last year, they have outproduced both of those two. And I didn't really think their losses were going to be that big. But I did not expect the offensive line to look as bad as they have, basically.
I don't know. There's something wrong.
No, well, I don't know something wrong more than just the teams we've played have had more talent than us, and they've had the lucky ball bounce their way here and there, and we haven't. I mean, the only game we really truly dominated was the Miami game, where we just completely outclassed them. And, but that's what shows that when we go up against middling to lesser teams, we're going to get our wins, But it's what worries me is once you get to the playoffs, then, unless Pittsburgh suffers an injury of some sort, unless New England suffers multiple car crashes and plane crashes, Denver, if we have to face them in the playoffs, we've already kind of shown, except that we have New England on the schedule, this week, that we can't beat those teams. We've proven that. So, now at this point, it's about just trying to scrap up enough wins to make the playoffs and then just kind of hope that luck falls your way. Maybe the team you're playing just doesn't come with all the juice they need to or whatever, and you can kind of maybe get a game and sneak in there. Maybe somebody, knows somebody upsets New England or something, and, now all of a sudden everything's wide open, so.
Well, I'm sure that's how everybody looks at it when they're playing us. They're like, well, they'll screw it up.
Pretty much, so.
And honestly, that's how it works sometimes. I mean, with some of the better teams, it's like, especially like the Patriots, it's like, let's just lay back in the cut throughout this game, play our game plan, and just wait for them to make a mistake. That's kind of how New England approaches it.
Yeah, and it works for them most of the time because, the other team will usually make a mistake of some imagination, and they pounce all over it. That's the thing about playing New England, man. They're so just sound. They play so fundamentally well that, it really, you have to come to that ball game ready to play ball, and every play better be counting to you. Because if it doesn't to you, it's going to count to them, and they're going to steal a win from you. But, we'll see. I'm hoping that the Bengals come back and try to really prove that the Dallas game was an aberration, and, and they play tough, and, hopefully we get lucky and get a turnover here and there, and hopefully we'll be in this game and be where we need to be.
All right, let's leave it at that.
But I'm not jumping off the ship. I'm not jumping off the ship for this season. I think we still have plenty of opportunity to make a run and to do what we need to do.
Okay, well, it'll be a lot more telling once we get to the halfway mark. Once we go into our bye. Is our bye after week 8? It's somewhere. It's somewhere in there. It's like week 8, week 9.
I honestly don't even remember who we play after that. After New England.
I think after the Patriots, it's Cleveland and then Washington.
Okay, so even if we lose in New England, we go 2-4. We're going to get Cleveland, so it's 3-4. And then, and Washington is a game we should win.
And so we got Patriots, Browns, then Redskins, and then we have our bye. So after that, we'll know a lot more where we're at with the halfway mark of the season.
I can see us sitting at 4-4. And at that point,
I'd be happy to see 4-4. If we're 4-4 after that, then we definitely have a chance.
Who do we play after the bye?
Giants, Bills, Ravens.
Giants, Bills, Ravens? I think we can get 2 out of 3 there. So now we're 6-5 with 5 games left. All right, who else do we got?
Eagles, Browns, Steelers.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Eagles just got shown up by the Lions the other day, though.
Yeah, but that's a wild card game for us. That can swing whether or not we're going to have a good season or not. Who's after that?
After those 3, then to finish off the season, we got the Texans and the Ravens.
To be honest with you, I can see an 8-8 season.
Right. It depends on, a couple of those games can go either way.
Yeah, it could.
We could potentially come out. We could, if we get hot at the right time, we could definitely come out of the bye. If we go into the bye 4-4.
Yeah, I'm thinking the 2 games in that whole stretch that's going to mean everything probably is going to be the Philadelphia game and the Texans game. That would be the difference between 10-6 and 8-8.
Because if we can come out of our bye, if we came out of our bye hot, well, I'm saying that never happens. Yeah. The Bengals are usually terrible after a bye, after any whether it be a bye or after a Thursday, whatever it is. If it's not like in the schedule 7 days later, they're usually bad. But for instance, if we did come out of our bye, we could win all 3 of those games: Giants, Bills, Ravens. I think we beat the Bills last year. I'd be happy with that, but I wouldn't be surprised. The Giants aren't that great.
I'd be happy if we can get 2 out of 3 out of that. Giants will be tricky. Ravens are a division opponent.
Yeah,
And who's the other one? And the Bills, man. Like, you really don't know what team's going to show up when they come in.
That's true. They beat the Patriots, shut them out, right?
Yeah, that was like with the third-string quarterback, but they wouldn't do that to Tom Brady. So, I don't know. The Bills is. So you're looking at the Giants, Bills, Texans, and Eagles as games that can swing either way, and you got to get 3 out of those 4, to make a successful season. So that, to me, those are going to be some key games because if we can't get Washington and the Browns right after the Patriots, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
The Browns are almost a guarantee, but Washington, that can be, it's in London, it's a different time zone. That can be a little tricky. So that's going to be a huge game too. So it's going to be an interesting season, I'll say that.